Hey everyone, I just want to welcome you all to our monthly Tampa Bay Data Analytics Meetup. My name's Tom Stabline. How many of you have been here before? All right, so a lot of new people. Probably should ask who's new. For those of you that are new, I am a professor at USF. I also have a startup here at Embark, an AI startup, and we have a program at USF, a master's program, and now it's AI and business analytics. We have some graduates here. Raise your hands if you look at those folks. If you have any questions, please ask them. But basically, if you're a working professional, you want to get a master's in a STEM program, it's Saturday and Sunday online. You're in class online from 10 to 1. So reach out to one of them or email me. And so, Russ, I think the show is going to be yours. Nels, thank you for, I think some of this is related to what you're doing, your business.
This is actually, no, this is actually.
They don't know what I'm going to talk about.
Oh, that should be interesting. His boss is back, so you can, at least give a plug, right, when you're up there. Right? All right, thank you so much for coming. Russ,
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, giving me this forum. I want to say thank Nelson and my teammates. They harbored me for the last 6 months. I work with them as a data engineer. We are Boalytics team. We are back office accounting and analytics team. So tonight, I would like to talk a little bit about real estate data. The reason I got interested in the topic because I have worked in the past for Sarasota County Property Appraiser Office. And I know a little bit about how the data is collected. And tonight, another reason why I'm doing this talk, I'd like to remind myself of the data analytics process. And if they say use it or lose it, so I'm trying to use it. And this article got me interested in the topic because here we have a CEO of Zillow telling us that he's going to quit profitable business. It did not sit right with me. And I was thinking, I got curious, why is Zillow quitting home buying and selling business? I looked up, there is in existence, there is a business model. It's called instant buyer. So there is a big companies out there who raise funds to buy and sell homes very quickly. This is the New York Times chart that they were present in the third quarter of 2019 in Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville markets. My question is, I wanted to see how profitable they are, and I came up with a framework to see how to predict whether investment on single-family residential home will generate a profit or loss when resold within the same year. This is my question, but I had a deeper and other agendas. My goals were to find insights. What creates profit or loss? This is just a framework that I came up with to investigate the data. We will be following tonight this machine learning process. We already asked the question. The data that we have going to be using is from Florida Department of Revenue assessment roles, and we will follow this diagram. Some of you might have entered the address of this meetup into GPS to come here. Well, I know a few other places where I can plug in that address. And one of them is a Hillsborough County Property Appraiser Office. And I want to illustrate what type of data is being collected. And as an example on this meetup, this property. So first, we pull up the property record card, and we can see the owner is Ebor LLC, and we have the aerial photo of the building. then we can see that this currently property is valued at $1.6 million. This is another property record card following. This is the type of data that is being collected on each property in Florida by the property appraisers offices of each county. And we can see that this building was sold for $3.5 million in 2014. Why is it valued half of that? Well, because we can see that the sale was excluded from the analysis. It is unqualified sale. We can also see what type of the building it is. It is an office with under 3 stories. So what type, when it was built, 1965. We can also see that the room we are here right now, we're around 32 square feet. So I thought it was pretty neat to be able to pull up this record. And next, we have seen that this property was sold, but we only saw the owner of the owner as LLC. So example of property appraiser, how he can further inquiry and analyze the sale. He might look up the deed on the clerks of Court of Clerks website. So that's what I have done. I looked up the deed and we can see seller and buyer. So that's how we can analyze if this sale was between related parties or what went wrong. And but name of the owner currently doesn't tell us very much. It is LLC. And there is another step we can take. We can go to the Sunpiece and we can plug in the name of the owner LLC and find the name of the person to call. And that's what I did here. And I found name of Daryl Shaw. I didn't know who he was, so I Googled him. And apparently, so apparently he is called by Tampa Magazine as a new champion for Ybor City. He's a big developer in our town, and here are his plans for the development of the Ybor City Harbor. So this is just to illustrate how the data is gathered. And here is another tool in the arsenal of property appraiser's office is called aerial photography. That there is a company, Eagleview, who holds patents on the special kind of photography that they can fly twice a year on a clear day and they capture pictures of surroundings and compile them in the way that we can measure things on a computer. So this helps with the review of the property and keeping up with the changes. Here I am on the Sarasota County Property Appraiser Office trying to use this tool and estimate just a random home of the square footage of the home. There's a lot more you can do with that tool, but the public-facing websites allow you to do minimum. So we come to the point where we do gather the data. I just walk through the process, how the data is collected and gathered. But for me, as the analyst, I would like to request, I went to the Department, Florida of Revenue, and requested 10 years of the tax rolls. You can download the latest tax rolls for the current year, but to get previous years, you have to request it. They will upload it to the portal for 7 days, and they are very responsive. Within a few days, I had the files uploaded. Actually, I had to request twice because I had to buy external hard drive and my 7 days expired. So I have to request one more time. So they were very responsive to me. So the data set is coming with the user's guide, which is very helpful. Each field, which is 130 columns, has definitions. We will be looking tonight at the residential homes. This is my first challenge came to how to unzip 700 files. How long is going to take me to do it with the right click unzip? So I came out with at that time, I learned a little bit of command prompt, and I came out with a way to unzip it very quickly. But my second challenge came, I really wanted to get all the data into the database to start running queries. But before I can do it, I need to get 700 files. This SQL query wizard import, he does it only one file at a time. So imagine how I can do 700, how long it's gonna take
And then
me.
they send you the file.
Yeah,
in
so
Excel.
what I came up with, I also was, at that time, I was learning a little bit about command prompts. There is a appendix command type file. So this is basically what I have done. I have created 11 files instead of 700 for each year. And that way I was able to import it in SQL Server. And now I can think of 10 different ways of doing it with my more experience. But back then, that's what worked for me. That's why I put that quote, the most effective way to do it is to do it. This is external hard drive. Just want to illustrate how much space it took. It's around 634 gigabytes. This is the user guide. It comes with the Excel file, and right now I pulled the page when we will be focusing on single family residences, which coded 001. Those are what we will try to find. This is I got so happy when I got to this point. I think the project was finished at that point, and I thought the most hardest part was done. But in reality, it was just the beginning, because the hardest part was trying to find truth in the data. So this is the example what I have done. Once I have 11 years worth of data, I consolidate it into residential only data homes, residential homes. At this point, I also got very excited because I felt a little bit buzzed and intoxicated. At my fingertips, I have data for the last 10 years for every single property in Florida. I was thinking to myself, geez, let me reverse engineer some investment strategy and go make some money, you know? That was what I was thinking. But life is a little bit more complicated. So the first thing I've done some running some queries. I wanted to see a big picture. So in 2020, we have a total parcel counts in Florida as 10.5 million. And then I looked at the single family residences. We do have 5.5 million as of 2020. I looked up top counts for top counties and bottom counties. And then I just wanted to impress myself if I can come up with the rate change for each year. So here it is. This is just a sanity check for me, if my process was accurate and nothing went wrong, because I was scared. It was a big, many files to consolidate, and many things could have went wrong. I have many stories. I had many tries to get it into a database, many different approaches, but maybe other time. So this, what it tells us, Wikipedia tells us that in 2020, Hillsborough was the fourth populous county in Florida, which confirms my count. That made me feel good. Yes. Okay.
Drunk again?
Yeah, drunk. So I was trying to, in the owner name, I did use wildcard. That's why I wasn't able to find Zillow and others accurately, but these show up. And they are actually big players. If you review some articles about them, this is just a snapshot. As of January 1st of each year, I have a count of properties they owned and how much money they spent on those properties. And I just calculated how much per house. It turns out Open-Door seems to be in a higher price range. But I was thinking there is a double edge to this. At one side, they are providing a service. They expedite traditional real estate transaction. But on the other hand, they are speculating in making homes expensive for everyone. So there is balance. But this is, I was just curious. This is what got me into this project. But at this point, I decided to cast a wider net and try to look for all resales, not just for the instant buyers. And this is the example
Quick question.
Yes.
Sorry. From the data that you showed up to this point, how did you get to that point where you showed the instant buyer? What was the data that you used to gather that?
The process was, I first selected qualified sales and counted them. This is not, this is the, what, one moment. No, we're not at the sales part yet. This is just the counting owners. So in the owner field, owner name, I used the wildcard name, like a percentage sign, and I found, I plugged in OfferPad and OpenDoor.
Oh,
So
okay.
they are the owners.
Okay, got it.
Okay. And
One more thing.
thank you. Thank you. I was worried I will be too quick, but you're welcome to ask questions.
So generally, sometimes these companies will use multiple LLCs to buy the properties. So do you consider this multiple LLC scenario also when you come up this? Because somehow like a OfferPad might use multiple LLCs to.
Well, that is that I want to warn everybody, it is a snapshot, it is a sample, it is not complete picture.
Oh.
For that reason, and thank you for pointing that out. Yes, I'm not saying this is the accurate.
But I'm just saying, if anyone buys under an LLC, no one will get owned by it, once they buy one property. So if they sell it again, and then it's a separate LLC, it's independent or it's not independent, either owned or independent. So they can be traced, people trace the stuff all the time.
Yep, so one way, okay,
No, this is all you get from Florida Revenue, Florida Revenue.
Florida Department of Revenue, yes. Yes, yes. And so again, to put it in perspective, that yes, there is in the data that I had, might be more of them. I just did not find. I just used a quick lookup and a wildcard in the owner's name. So this is the example of profit. We can see this property was bought and sold within the same year for half of that much. And this is the example of the loss. The same story, but the loss is a little bit much less. So and then the owner who sold this property for the loss was OpenDoor. And I did not look specifically for that. I randomly, it was top 5 and it was there. Okay. Here we are graphing the resales of within the same year from 2010 to 2020. And this is again the screen cut out from the user guide. We're focusing only on the qualified sales, which in the beginning I talked about how property appraiser could qualify them. It must be a market sale. That's what I use in my analysis. This is another view of the counts. The shorter bar is a loss, and the larger bar is profit. I just wanted to show this for the, again, overview. And this is the slide that I have counted. So this is a pretty profitable business to be in. I would think so based on these counts, but we will see. I did add a 3.5 increase as a cutoff and categorized it as a loss. My wife, when I practiced this presentation with her, she told me, you didn't need this analysis. I could have told you that.
Murder, right?
So, saying yourself, so you're assuming that there was no improvement made on the property? Is it a
This
clean
is-
transaction?
Yes,
Not a flip?
yes, yeah, there is a standard which governs this data by Florida Department of Revenue. They do have those qualification code that we looked 0102 right here. So the properties that don't represent, which was substantially improved, they don't represent what it was, they excluded, they coded differently. Yeah. Okay, so we're following the diagram, the machine learning process. We have the normalizing data step. And here on the top is the sale price, last sale price, and the difference between sale price 1 and 2 without outliers. And on the bottom is with outliers. It's a little bit better for the analysis. With the interesting finding that I can see that on average we can expect 30,000 profit, which is in itself could be your pricing strategy if you're in the flipping houses business. So again, I'm still on my bent idea of making money.
It also looked like data that happened maybe between 2010 and 2018, like before COVID was even found out. Yes.
Trends.
We do have 2010 to 2020. That's the data for time frame.
But like cutting it off at like 2018, let's say. When you're comparing like overall it's profit.
Oh,
It's a big change.
yeah, this is 2010, 2020. I haven't done what you suggesting, but that's something. I have a GitHub repository in the end you can download and play. So very welcome constructive criticism, and welcome, because I was terrified that here we'll find something methodological flaw. Let's try.
Yeah. If the properties that have a loss, what do they have in common?
Well, that's what we're going to try to find. That's why we're going to build these machine learning models to tell us. Okay.
So I was gonna say, the only thing I would ask is, so they were flipped, meaning resold within 12 months of
Yes,
purchase? Or
yes.
Within the same calendar?
Within the same calendar year, and that's another limitation of this, because this is not a population, so to speak.
Right.
Because that's a limitation of the data set.
Right.
Data set is a snapshot of January 1st.
We bought December until
Yeah.
January,
Yeah.
it's another year, excluded.
That is a yes, that is something I thought afterwards, and it would be interesting to find those as well. So, here in our master's program, the professors told us, do not just jump into modeling and let computers do the work. Why don't you stop, sit down and think about your inputs and write it out, what your rationale was to picking those up. And there is 132 columns in a data set, and this is 16 what I picked, and this is my rationale. If you see anything funny or fishy, raise your hand. Okay, okay. So our target variable is 1 for loss and 0 for profit. As you can see, the data set is very imbalanced, and it is becoming a difficult part of analysis.
One quick question, the effective age of property is that data is also there from that.
The property appraiser office, when he visits your property and do annual review, there is two, where there is actual year bill and there is effective age, which is based on what improvements, how you kept up your home. Yeah, so that is effective age.
That includes the roofs, which is one of the major ones.
Yes, yes.
I think the interesting one is the one from second from the bottom, months between sales.
That's I calculated. Yeah, okay. So I was thinking that the longer time between sales tend to decrease profit, but we will see if I was right. This is the exercise that our professors told us to do, and they put emphasis on this step. That's why I want to share with you. The next step in my data preparation process, I'm looking at the correlated variables, and I'm removing that capturing the same effect. This is the step. I removed the actual age and the property assessment value. They were showing high correlations with the, so property assessment value showed with the land value, and actual age was with the effective age, highly correlated. So I removed them before starting building the model. We can see, like I mentioned before, FDOR columns and my data set. With the split, I used stratified sampling, which maintains class proportions between test and trained data, but it does not address the imbalance of the data. So we do have categorical variables that we converted. We use the frequency distribution, and there is a quality variable that what I have done, I combine rare occasions 6 and 7, and I made my base level to compare to most numerous one is number 3. That is a standard practice. And I did the same thing with the construction class variable. This, we have a name of subdivision. I chose that as my location proxy. I decided not to go with the zip code or city name. I went to subdivision level. I thought it would give us better insights. But there is 2 ways we can transform this categorical variable. We can hot encode it, which we create each column for unique variable, for unique instance, but this is the better way. We just calculate a risk score. And this is how it's done. So first model I built was the logistic regression, which is best suited for categorizing binary target. And we have a baseline accuracy, 83%, which means if we guess, we will be 83% correct every time. So we try to beat the baseline. Here's what my model and my evaluation metrics tells us about the model, how it performs. I found that threshold at 0.2 gives the optimal metrics. I also want to point out that accuracy showing only one part. There is a recall, that is what percentage of actual property losses do we identify. So with the optimized threshold, we increased the recall. But sadly to say, this is where my hopes of becoming a millionaire crashed. The model is barely even not performing, beating the baseline. So, and this is just the representation of what logistic regression is, to remind us what. So my findings, this is what I was after, what factors matters and what effect they do have. After running the model and converting coefficients to the percentages, we can see that the geographic location is the strongest predictor. At this point, my wife told me, she could have told me that too. But it's nice to put a number on it. It's one thing to have a folklore knowledge, and another one is to prove to yourself with a number. So this is how I interpreted those.
So you're saying the higher end properties have more risk?
Well, I'm thinking maybe overbuilt. Maybe.
No, I'm saying, what about the profit? The more the profit from the higher end property.
Risk of loss? It's risk of loss, right?
Yes,
Risk
risk of loss. So maybe there is a 14th pancake rule,
Benefit
or
also aligned with this. Did the higher profits come from the same, where the higher risks were or not? That's the question.
Can you repeat?
If these are higher risks of loss, are they also the higher potential for profits? The same factors?
No, you see in red, those what decreases loss.
Class to reinforce.
Yeah, right. It's higher risk, it's an average, it's higher risk.
So risk is really
Higher.
profit loss, is what you're saying.
Same thing.
When you say loss risk, that means just profit loss, is what you're saying.
Yes, so basically,
Well,
these
that's-
factors matters in our target variable is one is loss. I'm sorry if I'm losing you.
No, I'm just saying risk and profit are two different things. That's why I was asking. I wasn't sure what you meant by risk.
I see.
You said profit loss.
Let's remind ourselves what I have done with the categorical variable.
Right.
It's a It's a ratio. So we put on each subdivision, we gave it a risk score.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, so this is what model one logistic regression tells us. And the benefit of this model is that it tells us direction of the effect, because there is other more powerful statistical models that does not tell us that. And please be very skeptical about this, because we saw the model doesn't perform it very well.
Yeah.
But at least it does give us some ideas.
So.
Yeah.
So other than regression, what are a few examples of those models that would give other, other information?
So
Other data.
thank you. We will, I will get to that. So the difficulty of the first model was that the data set is imbalanced. And here are techniques that we can use to get a better results out of the model. We can use the downsampling, upsampling technique. Here's the examples. What recommended is create a synthetic data set, which is smooth. It's just, so when we do upsampling or downsampling, we're removing data. Upsampling, we're copying data, which is not very accurate. But when we use synthetic technique, we try to create same looking one data set.
One more quick question.
Yeah.
When you're running synthetic data, are you ever randomizing that synthetic?
Yes, it is built into the algorithm.
Okay.
I use the R programming language
Okay.
for my models. Yeah. So the model number two, I decided to pick as a random forest, which is collection of decision trees. It is very powerful model, but the limitation of this model is that does not tell us direction of the effect. This is after I ran the decision tree model, I have plotted the area under the curve. This line is the guess, and everything above the curve is what the model is picking up. And this is the comparison between those sampling techniques I try to implement. And next, this one is the important variables came from the decision tree. It performed much better. I believe that this is more accurate picture of the factors what matters, but we don't know how it matters. That is limitation of the model. We see that location risk score came out on top as well as the highest predictor. Basically, one way to think about this, when we remove one of the variables, errors increase. So they are important, but we don't know what effect they have. I want to leave you with this quote I found in the news. It is also dated in around same time. So basically, they mostly relied on algorithms, and they lost $328 million. And that's why they were quitting this business. And as you can see, this statistical model, and to get rich is hard. And one idea I want to take out of this is that they try to use pricing specialists and agents, which is our domain experts. And our professors told that there is a balance between technical analysis and the domain expertise. So that is also another point I would like to take for you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me tonight. There is a GitHub repository with the data, with the R code, power slides. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm sure there's plenty of questions. Russ, are you okay accepting some questions?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Any follow-ups?
What is the difference between creating a synthetic like subset and just standard implementation?
So we do have a upside and downside, that's where we just up, down, we're removing data. Up, we copying. And when we do synthetic, we trying to create variation. Think about the key, the composite key in database. So you try to do variation of what exists. Trying to rebalance the numbers.
Can you just impute the averages of the subset just as synthetically, right? Is that what you're doing? It's imputation is just like an average and you just insert it in. Is that what you do?
Yeah, yeah. Please don't ask hard questions.
Next time, just bring your wife.
How are you guys doing, by the way? You and your wife are good?
Oh, we just got married and I still talk to you. I still talk to my girlfriend sometimes.
You run neural networks on this.
I have not. That's something you are welcome to. Here's a GitHub repository. You can please go
The
ahead.
data is.
Data isn't there.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome. That's super.
What form of normalization did you get to? When you did this? Like, what is it? It was like, I think 5.
And 1, 2, 3, yeah. This was not relational database. It's just the tables. I used it for data storage, not for relations.
Can you go back to the slide that compares the random forest and the regression and the accuracy? Because I didn't understand that.
Okay.
Okay, so what I don't understand here is you're saying the accuracy of the random forest was better than the logistic regression. Those numbers don't make sense to me, from what you just said. Can you explain that and how you got the 83% baseline accuracy? Because
No, this one, our baseline accuracy based on the guess. This is what we're trying to beat.
yes,
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
okay, I don't see any of those numbers as beating that. Am I wrong?
Okay. No, you're right.
Okay.
I did mention that the random forest is a little bit better because look at the recall, we have almost 70%. Let's remind us what recall is. What percentage of actual property losses do we identify?
Okay.
So based on that, I believe that random forest performed better, but unfortunately, we don't know how it matters. We know what matters. Okay.
So this was great. Thank you. This was really impressive and informative. Have you thought about adding additional signals, or are there signals you wish you could have added, like influx of people into the state versus out, crime statistics versus?
I had a million ideas.
Yeah.
Why don't we plot a mortgage rate?
Right, mortgage rates.
Why don't we add a neighborhood or school ratings?
Yep.
Why don't we do something of that sort? Yes.
Okay.
I also thought of another idea, not residential, but commercial, because I spent some time in a commercial department. I wanted to plot urban sprawl. We do have active year build, and we can actually do animation in R to plot how the sprawl, we can see. That would be very neat to see. So that's something you have a GitHub. If you have free time, please go ahead.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
I was gonna say, so on this, it looks like it's all things that are resold flips without major substantial investment. But does that exclude all roof repairs, all basic, like things you have to do?
Right, like.
What do they exclude actually? What kind of examples do they exclude from the flip?
I want to go to this. We do have demolition value and new construction value. Those are variables that tracks the improvements to a property. So if the property appraiser or inspector comes to a property and sees new kitchen, he would add a couple years in new construction mode to his software.
So those are included, those kinds of improvements, but not substantial improvements. What is substantial?
What is the difference between code 001 and code 002?
Yeah.
See. So you only selected 001, right?
No, both. Where they are. Yes, I selected both. There is many codes. There is 50 codes. I included in my analysis only those two codes.
Okay.
Does it follow on?
Do not use this model for your investment. Okay.
Do your own research.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, a lot of the profit people buying homes is to rent. So I mean, nowadays, in the last few years, it's not just reselling to make the profit, they rent.
That is, now it's a different market. We
Yeah.
also can think about this is the limitations of data set, and the model is not representing the real world. We can think of the external factors, yes.
No, go ahead.
That's all I was saying.
No more questions. Thank you.